Hey guys, it's Tyler from Nelly Security, and if you are in the market for your next CCTV video recorder, you have come to the right place. Here I have in front of me a DVR, which stands for Digital Video Recorder, and an NVR, which stands for Network Video Recorder. Now, these two recorders fulfill pretty much the same purpose. They both receive video data from your security cameras. They let you manage all of your cameras in one place, view all of your live feeds, and of course they record your security footage for you as well. While the purposes of these two types of recorders is essentially the same, their functionality is quite a bit different. So today I want to examine the main differences between a DVR and an NVR. Generally speaking, a DVR is the recorder that you would use for most analog security setups, whereas an NVR is what you will use for IP security setups. But the main difference between these two recorders boils down to this. How does the recorder receive the video? A DVR receives raw video input from the security cameras, and it does all of the processing and encoding right there within the recorder, whereas an NVR is just receiving video streams from the network. So in other words, the IP camera does all of the video encoding and processing. It then streams that video to the network and the NVR picks it up. I hope this is all making sense to you so far, but if not, don't worry, because we are about to dive a little bit deeper into each of these recorders. First, let's take a look at this DVR. Now, as I already mentioned, DVRs are used primarily in analog systems. This particular model is a tribrid. It can take various analog signals, such as TVI, CVI, and AHD. It can also take an IP input, which we will talk about a little bit later. Let's take a look at the back of this DVR. You can see that we have various connections on this interface here. What I want to draw your attention to first are these 8 BNC connections. This is our video in. You will take a security camera like this one that has BNC connections, and you will take some Siamese cable. This is just a fancy name for 2 cables in one, which you have your BNC connection there for the video. You also have your 12-volt connection here to supply power to your cameras. Then you will run that Siamese cable back to your DVR and connect the video input to one of these BNC ports. Now, there's no way to power your camera from the DVR, so you will have to plug your camera into a separate power supply. But once your camera is connected to your DVR and powered up, you can go ahead and power up your DVR and your camera feeds will appear right there. That is all you really need for your system to be functional. Now you can see that we do have a LAN connection here, so we can connect our DVR to our network, but we don't have to. If this is connected to our network, we can log into a web browser and we can access our DVR and manage everything through the web. We can also access our DVR remotely with an app such as, see, this is an H-series DVR, so we could use Guarding Vision to access the feeds from this DVR. Another reason to connect your DVR to the network is to add IP inputs to your DVR. Now, this doesn't work for all DVR models, so you will need to check with your manufacturer to see if your DVR supports this. Our DVRs at Nelly's Security do support this. This DVR in particular is the NSDV 208QK, and it can support 2 IP inputs. And that is in addition to the 8 analog inputs, making this in total a 10-channel recorder. So that's something that's cool about these DVRs, is that it does take, again, AHD, TVI, or CVI analog inputs, but it can also take IP inputs, making these very versatile and very flexible to fit a variety of situations and systems. Now let's take a look at the back of this NVR, and it's quite a bit different. We do have the LAN connection, just like we did with the DVR. We also have this PoE switch back here, but the most noticeable difference here is that we do not have any video input connections. We have audio input, we have alarm input, but we do not have video input. Again, that's because the NVR does not take raw video inputs, it only receives video streams from the network. Now, there's a couple of ways of accomplishing this. First, we can simply plug this NVR directly into our local network. What this is going to do is allow us to add any video streams from any IP camera devices that are on the same network. So I can take this IP camera, plug it into a PoE switch anywhere in this building as long as it's on the same network, and I will be able to access that camera from my NVR. Another way we can do this is by plugging the security cameras in the PoE switch directly in the back of the NVR. Now, most of our NVRs at Nelly Security do have this integrated PoE switch, but not every NVR does. So you'll need to double check if yours has this or not. If your NVR does not have an integrated PoE switch, it's really simple. You'll just need to connect your cameras to an additional PoE switch, which we highly recommend IP CamPower's products for this because they are specifically designed for IP security setups, just like this. Now, this PoE switch in the back of the NVR is actually its own segregated network. That means as soon as you plug a security camera into your NVR, it is automatically placed on the same network as your recorder, even if your NVR is not connected to your network. That means your entire IP network can exist right here in the back of your NVR without an additional network connection. The NVR would just be pulling those video feeds from your security cameras via the segregated network. However, you would not be able to remotely access your NVR or your security cameras because there would be no way to access this network from your computer or from a mobile device. So we've talked about NVRs and DVRs individually. Let's go ahead and bring this all together and wrap this video up. Whichever device you choose is totally going to depend on the kinds of cameras that you have. If it is a completely new setup and there are no security cameras on the property, you're probably going to want to stick with IP. This really is the future of video surveillance. Analog systems have gotten about as good as they're going to get. IP systems are constantly improving. These are easier to set up. They can do a whole lot more, but IP systems are a bit pricier. And again, that is because the camera does everything. It does all of the processing, it does all of the encoding. If there are smart events or any kind of intelligent analysis going on, that's happening at the camera level. This analog camera really only records the video and sends that raw data to the DVR. That's why your analog cameras are going to be way cheaper than your IP cameras. When it comes to the recorder itself, you're probably going to be able to find NVRs for a cheaper price than DVRs. That's simply because DVRs are doing all of that analytics, all of the processing, all of the encoding. There's a lot more going on there, and especially when you have a DVR that can take multiple inputs, CVI, TVI, AHD, IP. You got a lot going on with the DVR, whereas with the NVR, you have a lot more efficiency, a lot more processing power, simply because it's not having to do all of that complicated analytics and encoding right here in the recorder, because that's happening in the camera level. So NVRs, a little bit cheaper than DVRs, not by much. IP cameras, quite a bit more expensive than analog cameras, so the IP system as a whole is going to be a bit pricier. However, that's starting to change. IP cameras have been out for a while now. They are very widely used technologies, so they are starting to get more and more affordable. Take a look at our R-Series line, for instance. You'll see a lot more affordable cameras there. And that's perfect for if you are a beginner with CCTV or if you're on a budget and you still want to take advantage of some of these IP benefits. Go check out R-Series, and I will leave that linked down in the description below. So why do we still sell DVRs then, and when would you need to purchase a DVR? Well, if you are upgrading an old system, for instance, if you're installing security cameras in a place where there are already older analog security cameras, this is great for that. Again, because it does take those multiple inputs. So it doesn't matter if you have a combination of cameras, as long as the DVR takes that input, you can have all of your cameras here on one system. And again, it does make it really nice that you can add IP inputs to this. That way you can start branching out. If you have an older system, you can invest in a couple of IP cameras. And, you know, over time, maybe you'll end up replacing this DVR with an NVR and replacing all of your old analog cameras with IP cameras. But for right now, if you're just needing something for a system that you already have, and your system is AHD, CVI, TVI, you're going to want a DVR. So that is pretty much everything you need to know about the differences between DVRs and NVRs. So let me know down in the comments below, which do you prefer? Do you still use DVRs and analog systems? Are you using an NVR with your IP system? Do you use a combination of both? If this video helped you out, be sure to give it a like. Let us know in the comments down below or reach out to us if you have any additional questions. We're always happy to help you out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.